Halo guys, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my video, my emergency video. So this is our fifth meeting. It's about reference and sense. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So the definition of reference and sense. Sense and reference are two very distinct ways of talking about the meaning of words and other expressions. Sense deals with the relationship inside the language. The sense of an expression is its place in a system of semantic relationship with other expressions in the language. Example: the relationship between big and small is oppositeness of meaning. It means antonym, okay? Have you heard about antonym? Yes, of course. The relationship between rich and wealthy is sameness of meaning, or we call it as synonym. We will talk more about sense relation in a coming lecture. In some cases, the same word form can have more than one sense. Look at the word form bank in the following sentences. I have an account at the bank. We took the boat to the other bank of the river. In this example, bank has a different sense in each sentence. So reference is a relationship between parts of a language, which is word or phrases, and things outside the language in the world. By reference, a speaker indicates which things and person in the word are being talked about. For example, my son is in the house, and my son here refers to a person in the word, and the house refers to a thing in the word. To make term reference clear to you, hold the book in your hand and then describe it in a sentence. For example, this book is about semantics. The English expression this book is part of the language. This expression can refer to any book, and in the example, we use it to refer to part of the word, which is the book you are holding in your hand. Reference is the relationship between the language expression and the real word object. Next. Comparing sense and reference. Referent of an expression is a thing or a person in the word, and sense is an expression. It's not a thing at all, but an abstraction. Difficult to say what sort of entity the sense of an expression is. Intuitively, that part of the meaning of an example that is left when reference is factored out. A referring expression is a piece of language, a noun phrase that is used an utterance and is linked to something outside language, some living or dead or imaginary entity, or concept of group entities or concepts. That something is the referent, not necessarily physical or necessarily real. A referent in the concrete object or concept that is designated by a word or expression. We need to distinguish three terms: referring expression, referent, and way of referring. I'm giving you an example. Uncle Fred and Dad Canary are obviously different referring expression and have different referent when used in utterance. Lake Ontario and a lake are different referring. Different referring expression with different kind of referent. One referent, Lake Ontario, is a unique, and the referring expression, Lake Ontario, always refer to the reference. The other referring expression, a lake, can have different reference in different utterance. A canary, the canary, this canary, our canary, are different referring expression with possibly the same referent, but they refer in different ways. In this section that follow, we discuss three ways in which referents differ from one another. Unique like Lake Ontario versus non-unique like a lake. Concrete such as an apricot versus abstract such as an idea. And countable like a bottle, several bottles versus non-countable like milk. And subsequently, we take up different ways of referring and consider such differences as definite and indefinite, generic and no generic, specific and no specific. We also need to recognize a distinction between primary referring expression and secondary referring expression. A primary referring expression is a noun phrase like a dog, your friend, George Adam, the flower in that basket. They refer directly to their referent. Examples of secondary referring expression are he, the big one, ours, that one. These expressions are headed by pronouns and they refer indirectly. Their reference can only be determined from primary referring expression in the context in which they are used. Secondary referring expressions are the topic, anaphora. As you might expect, most of the chapter is about primary referring expression. Okay? We begin with an attempt to clear up some possible source of confusion. Number 1. Howard is your cousin, isn't he? Howard is your cousin name, isn't it? Okay, that's a different. A referring expression is not a referent. A carrot can be a referring expression, but it is not a carrot. This may seem obvious, but throughout the history people have failed to distinguish between lexeme and what lexeme denote. There is no natural connection between referring expression and referent. Some ancient philosophers and ancient and medieval etymologists held the opinion that there is or once was a natural relation between symbol and what is symbolized, but this is simply not so. The existence of a referring expression doesn't guarantee the existence of a referent in the physical social world that we inhabit. We can easily use language to create expression with fictitious reference such as skyscrapers of Antarctica, the present emperor of Texas, the pain reliever recommended by 91% of all doctors. In fact, we need such expression in order to deny the existence of any physical reference. Two or more referring expression may have the same referent, but they do not necessarily have the same meaning. Okay? Yeah, I think the rest you can see it on the module as usual, because it's just the approach. Okay, I think that's all for this meeting. Bye bye.